All right. I've got something special for you guys today. This one's going to be kind of fun and kind of funny. But this is the Queen stages of change. So I don't know if any of you have worked with me, worked with me long enough to have ever heard me do like a session on the stages of change in recovery. But I used to do this all the time back in the organization, to talk about those stages of change and have you kind of identify like where you were at in your process and see what we needed to do to move you along or what have you. And we're going to look at those specifically for our purposes about this journey and self-worth. So here's the stages of change. And I also have a stages of change chart that I will put in our chat and in our alumni group and all of that, so that you can have it later if you want to look at it a little bit deeper. Get your notebooks ready if you're going to take notes today. This I can also email you later. So stage one of the stages of change, and this is based upon, this is like in psychology, what we have figured out is true about all people when they're changing, right? Everybody that is going through processes of change kind of hits on these points. And we've noticed this over time that everybody, we can see these stages happening in any type of change. So stage one is called pre-contemplation, okay? Pre-contemplation. This means I'm not ready for the change. So with our self-worth journey, this is going to look something like, oh my God, this work is really scary. I can't do this. I won't do it. I could never be that kind of woman that does all that crown vibes. I couldn't do it. It's just too much. I'm not worthy at all. Right? Not ready for the change. It could also look like, I don't have any self-worth issues. I'm totally fine. I know I've been called a doormat and a people pleaser, and I've had toxic relationship dynamics for my entire life, but I put on makeup every day and I'm comfortable talking to people. So obviously I'm confident and secure with myself, right? So we can have like a little bit of both. You might know you have a problem and be terrified and not ready for that change, or you might be totally oblivious and in denial that you have a problem with this at all, right? So that's one thing you might see. And especially once we get to those stages of this program where you're kind of like going back out and you're sharing your message with other people in the world, you'll start to see that girl's got self-worth issues and she doesn't know it, right? We can be completely unaware. Just like I talk about in the book with my own self, I thought that I loved myself and I didn't. I had no idea I even had a problem with this for a lot of years. So we can also just be clueless too. Stage two is called contemplation. Contemplation. So this means we are aware of the need for the change. So this is that part of the journey where you're like, okay, even though it's scary, I have to do this. My self-worth issues are affecting every area of my life, and I'm completely sick of dealing with all these consequences. And I'm ready to do it, right? I can see that there's a problem. And then it can look like, take the I'm ready for it out. I don't know why I said that. That's not part of it. You just can see it and you're sick of it. Okay. Or it could be like, maybe I do have an issue with loving myself properly. I can see myself in some of these women's stories, right? Maybe they're telling their stories about how they found this and it sounds a lot like me. Okay, maybe I do need this. So that's the part where you're looking out of the side of your eyes and you're like, what is happening over there? I think that's for me. Stage three, preparation. And this means that you are committed to making this change. You're committed to making the change. Preparation. So it would be something like, that's it, I'm doing this. You decided, right? I'm doing this. I'm calling Rachel. I'm going to ask her how I can get started, how I can go deeper into this program. I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn this work. Or I must do this. I may not feel worthy today. You know that you don't have it yet. And I'm going to have faith that I will. I can make this happen. And I'm going to buy the program on Friday, right? You're planning in your head. You're getting prepared to start it. Stage 4 is action, actively taking the steps towards the change. So this would be like, yay, I can't believe I took that step. I can't believe I did it. I really did it. I called Rachel. She got me in. I just got my orientation email. I'm in. It would look like, yay, I just did it. I made my payment. I logged in. I got my books. And I've even done the intro videos. I've done the first session. Like I'm reading the book like I'm doing it. So you're in it. It's at the beginning, but you're in it. And then stage 5 is maintenance. It means to be focused on and continue progress. Focusing on and continuing progress. So this is like, you've read your book, you're doing your program, you're on like session 5. You're like, I'm beginning to see huge differences in the way that I feel about myself. And I know I'm going to keep learning this. I'm going to continue to do this every single week. It's definitely a lifestyle that I want to keep up with. Or it can look like, I've finished my program. I'm actively using all of my tools and practices. And maybe I'm going to walk through it again now. I'm going to loop back around, start at the beginning, but this time I'm going to laser focus in on up-leveling my life, specifically in the area around love. And I'm ready to know I'm worthy of a soulmate relationship, right? Maybe it's like, now you're going to start applying this stuff to different areas and continuing to grow. And then a lot of people know the 5 stages of change, but there's 6 actually. There's one at the end called relapse. Ugh. Right? So this one is when we fall back into old patterns of behavior. This one might look like, oh no, I found out that he was cheating on me. And now it feels like all the progress that I made on myself was ruined. I feel like my self-worth was shattered and like I failed at this whole program. I don't know what's wrong with me. It seems like ever since I found out about my diagnosis, I've just lost all motivation to do any of my how to wear a crown work. I feel like I'm not good enough anymore because I can't do all the things that I used to do. Now, this is the one that I really wanted to talk to you guys about, because all of you in this group should be finding yourself in some of these later stages, right? Because you're here. You're in this group with me, you're doing this work, you're listening to me right now. So you are at least on action, right? We're on like action and maintenance. Everybody in here should be on action or maintenance. And I want you to also, though, remember what it looked like to kind of go through that change to get to where you are right now, because that's a really vital thing to do along our journeys, to just honor ourselves and be like, wow, oh yeah, I remember when I was just kind of like wishing for something or looking at it or being scared of it, and now look at me, I'm here, like actively doing it every day. It's awesome to kind of just stop and remember. But then, you know, that relapse part, we can definitely have that relapse stage on this journey. We grow, we build, we do the work, we get to a good spot, and then shit happens. Like life happens, and it can throw a curveball and knock you down. Traumas happen, and then we uncover, right, some situations that we didn't know could affect our worth like that, or our sense of self-worth like that. And that's what I want you guys to know. This part will happen. This part will happen. And it's all about how you handle it. It is a natural, normal part of the stages of change. But what I want you to know is that the stages of change is a circle, right? It's not a straight line, it's a circle. So we go through the stages and then we come back around, right? I've always told you guys that this is cyclical. As we go through the program, you'll loop back around and you can do it again with deeper and deeper concepts and new and different things that you might not know that you're worthy of yet. We can start going after the soulmate relationships. We can start going after a better version of health. We can start going after material things. We can start going after money. We can start going after a better career. Like, there's so many different aspects of life that we might not feel worthy of deserving of, that we can tie into this. But then there's also other self-worth attachments that will uncover only because they're going to happen to us, right? I didn't know my worth was so attached to being in a relationship until I got dumped. Whoops. I didn't know my worth was so attached to my career until I got fired. I didn't know my worth was so tied to money until I was broke. I didn't know my worth was so connected to the fact that I was thin until I got fat. Sometimes we just don't know that it's coming, right? We don't know that it's a problem until it is. So I just want you guys to know that these things can happen, and there's going to be other things along your journey that you run into that can affect your self-worth. But this is not like the horror story part of those stages of change. It feels like it, but if we switch that perspective and we go ahead and know now that it actually can be the best stage, because it gives us vital information. And the relapse part is like the up level. That is when the giant up levels happen, because when you find out those deeply ingrained self-worth attachments, they're the ones that knock you on your ass and make you feel like you got just completely shattered as a human being. But when they happen, you get to go, oh, okay. My worth is so wrapped up and tied in that because it destroyed me. If it wasn't, it wouldn't have destroyed me, right? And then you get to do the work around that attachment and learn to feel worthy aside from that thing. Is that making sense? If so, head nods, hearts, stars, and rainbows. Okay. So that's the thing. I wanted you to reflect back on your journey. Okay, I see all the thumbs. Yes, yes. I wanted you to reflect on your journey and look back at everything that you've been through to get here and pat yourself on the back, because you're amazing. It takes a lot to get here. It takes bravery and courage to do a journey like this and to get to these stages of change where you're in action and maintenance. So hell yeah. And then the next big point was, let's go ahead and start looking forward and keep that relapse stage from being as big of a crisis as I know that it can be, and as big of a crisis as it's been for me in multiple times in my life, right? If when it happens, you can immediately go, oh, this is that moment Rachel was talking about. What's the lesson? Where's the attachment? What's the thing? I got to figure out how to keep this detached from my sense of self-worth, right? And do that work. Then you can get back up quicker, put your crown back on, and keep fucking going. I love you guys.